welcome to this week's Devil in the Detail podcast. I'm Rob Parkinson, and I'm here talking all things. So for the Devils, join me the show this week, as ever, we got Paul Whiteside. Paul, been a warm week. Suppose you've been waiting for the sun to go down, waiting for it to cool down before you get involved again.
Yeah, yeah, it has been warm. I feel like I've lost a few stone this week at work, but it's all good. It's better than it raining and being cold, isn't it? So I'm lucky I've got air conditioning in my van, but I ration it a bit really because I always think I can't use it too much; it might run out. So I got to turn it down, have the window open. But I don't know. Last 2 days with the window open, it just feels just red hot. Driving about with the window open. So yeah, it's been all right. It's been okay. How have you coped with it all?
Yeah, good. Obviously working from home's different, isn't it? So you can stick the aircon on, like the windows open and all that. So I suppose you're in the office, it's a different kettle of fish, isn't it? You can't really just sort of lie down and chill out after it gets a bit too hot, can you? But I suppose that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? I suppose everyone's have to get used to me doing it in the office, lying down, chilling out in the sun.
Tell you what, you're lucky if you're working like a supermarket, aren't you? Because you can just go and stand on like the freezer aisle because it's lovely and cool. I nipped in somewhere today for a drink and to use the toilet and what have you. And you go in there, it's like a fridge as soon as you walk in, like Tesco or Asda or whatever it was. I can't remember now what it was, but no, that's the place to be.
Yeah, I went out last night for a drink, the first time in ages. Paul, went to meet a fellow podcaster who was called Ash. He does a podcast called Pursuit of the Paranormal. So I went to have a chat with him about how he does it and stuff like that. It's good listen. Went for a few beers, lives in Sale like me. So it's good to go out and have a chinwag.
It's expensive when you go out though these days, isn't it? I had a pint on Saturday night. I went to watch the boxing at the arena and just waiting for James, our good friend James from Salford Radio, and waiting for him. And it was £5.65 a pint, and it's a bit extortionate that. So I couldn't have more than two. Just had two. But in the arena, it was £9.
Was it
for a pint in the arena? But I didn't have one. But James's mate, he said they like machines. So I can't remember what he called them. But you go to the machine. Like you go and get a Costa and a Tesco, like the express machines. They're like little machines. Swipe your card and it pours the pint and just gives it you. So I don't know how it proves that you're 18. I don't know, but £9. So no, it's going through the roof, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I suppose they want health. They want the health is priority, so they try and make them things that people enjoy more expensive to force them to stop it. But people will sacrifice a lot, won't they, to have a beer? I suppose that plan's not really working.
Yeah, you say that though about like expensive, but I've noticed on the shopping bill when my missus buys fruit and stuff like that, it's mega dear, isn't it? So all the healthy stuff's dead dear as well, isn't it? So I don't know, unless you like have beans every night for your tea, you can't really save any money, can you? It's they rip us off, don't they? Somewhere or another.
Yeah, you do. But obviously, as long as we get to the match, Paul, that's all that matters. You got to save your pennies. Don't try and take too much food out of your kids' mouths. That's the plan. So lots to go at this week. Look back at the Wigan defeat. Touch on the ladies' defeat in Barrow. All the big news coming out of the club this week. Whiteside's World of Rugby League, and then we'll preview the big game on Sunday against Warrington. So we'll start with the Wigan defeat. So for the Devils, were defeated away at Wigan on Friday night. They went down to defeat 26 points to 8. Paul, a tough game. Wigan are a top team, and we just didn't have enough to trouble them in that game.
No, well, it's coming to that sort of time of the season where Wigan are in that playoff mode, aren't they? They're a bit like a machine. They're well programmed for this time of the year, aren't they? And I think we saw that on Friday night. If you're going to go there, you've got to go and play your A game, haven't you? Or you're not going to win. And to be honest, we never looked like winning that game, really. I mean, I thought we were poor. I'll be brutally honest. I thought we was in the game, hanging on to their coattails for just before our time, and then that sort of 3 or 4 minutes, we just imploded. I mean, what Mark Sneed were doing, I don't know. It just seemed crazy to just dump the ball in the air, especially when you got someone like Jaifield and Bevan French. I mean, you take those two out of Wigan's side, they're pretty ordinary, really. They're probably no better than us, but they've got two superstars who make them tick and who probably the difference. But no, I thought we'd give it a good go, but yeah, we never really troubled them.
Yeah, I think that last 10 minutes of the first half, that was a difference. Thinking playoff situations, it's about levels, and you have to go up a level. And I thought we struggled in that last 10 minutes to find another level. And Wigan took advantage of that, like you say. I think you talk about the Marks Need kick. I think the kick's only good as a chase. And I thought the chase I think it just feels like the players just switched off in that and thought, well, he'll collect it, he'll die with the ball, and we'll all go in at half time. And I thought, you're playing against these top players. They see an opportunity, don't they? They sensed it, and that was that. So, yeah, it was one of them. Obviously, few ill-disciplined moments as well. The King Bunny Yaya sin bin for me was like, it was a really sort of a straight red card for me. It was that sort of horrific, but only got a yellow, which means he came back after 10 minutes, which was good for us. And obviously people talk about referees and that, but I think we got away with one there.
Well, I remember saying to my dad on the night, I thought, blimey, what's he done there? I don't think it was malicious. It was more clumsy than anything. He just seemed to stick an arm out, and then obviously he's caught him. But it was a lazy attempt to tackle, really. It was silly. And King Vuniayo has got that, and he's locker. He does tend to give a lot of penalties away. And I looked at my dad and I went, "Oh, he's going for that contact with the head, innit? That's what they say these days." And I was so surprised when Chris Kendall gave him a yellow card, because I thought he's definitely escaped one there, especially the way things are now. But no, he got the sin bin for that. And there was a bit of somebody questioned me on Twitter about the Chris Atkin incident, and I only saw it on the night. I've not watched it back. You know, where he got tipped by Bevan French, and we got a penalty for that and kicked the goal. And I said on my video it was a tip tackle, and someone disagreed with me. I'd only seen it once, and then I couldn't really see the big screen. But for me, I don't know. It was one of those, because he sort of tipped him and dropped him. And I've got no problem with that at all. Years ago, you should see them in the NRL all the time, just people getting dumped on the backsides. But now, referees don't seem to like it, because they sort of say, oh, it's a bit dangerous and that. So really, perhaps I've got no problem with it, but should it have been a sin bin? Because that's the way things seem to be going. So there's a bit of a grey area now between what you can and can't do, isn't there, with things? I mean, you can see, you're talking in the news about the suspensions and what have you. The disciplinary were really busy, weren't they? But no, there's a massive grey area now from what we deem safe and not, isn't there?
I think half the time it's more about the ferocity, how they do it, really. I think if it looks like they're sort of driving them into the ground, then they do seem to penalise him. But like you say, I thought that one he looked like he kind of jumped a bit, which trying to get the penalty, if that makes sense. But yeah, I suppose it's a fine line. You're a referee. You only say it once, don't you? And yeah, we got a penalty out, which is great. But yeah, I suppose player safety is the most important thing, and I'm sure, like as a player, you'd want to make sure you didn't put yourself in mortal danger just to get a penalty, if that makes sense.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to labour the point too much, because I'll make my point when we talk about the suspensions and what have in the news, because otherwise I'll be waffling on. But no, like I said, it's difficult. I think referees have got a difficult job, haven't they? And I mean, in that game, it was a good job that there was a replay there, because I think Chris Kendall used it a few times, didn't he? Because he wasn't even going to give a penalty for that Atkin incident. But like you said, it's one of those. I mean, did the player make a meal of it? I don't know. I think players can do sometimes, but yeah, I won't waffle on, because I don't want to labour it twice.
No, but I suppose it's a tough game, innit? And
yeah, of course.
I think Chris Ninu says, and we'll hear him later on, talks about it's a tough game played by tough people, innit? So it is part of the process, innit? And I suppose sometimes the rules are there to protect players, even though they don't want protecting sometimes. But yeah, it's a tough old game, innit, rugby league, and you just, like you say, you look back through the years and what used to happen, on the field, and now we've come a long way.
I'm going to have to labour my point now, because you've egged me into it. No, you're absolutely spot on. And it's something that riles me a bit now. Whereas everybody says it's the toughest sport in the world, and it is. Rugby league is a really tough sport, but I think we're in danger sometimes of sanitising it a bit, because we sort of take things away, and you can hear people in the crowd do it here at the games. Every time there's an hard tackle, everyone's oohing and ahhing as if to say, "Oh, you can't do that." And I think sometimes I turn around and I think, what was wrong? You know, when it's a Wigan player tackling a Salford player, there's a few on Friday, and I thought, nothing wrong with that. It's a hard tackle. It's a tough game. You know, you're asking players to do a tough job, and a player can't go in half-hearted. He's got to go in full-blooded or not. So it must be so difficult for the players now thinking, well, can I hit this guy hard or am I not allowed to? And do I need to pull out? You know, because it was all that hoo-ha a few weeks ago about Asiata at League, wasn't there? And his tackling technique. And we don't want players to tackle around the head. We don't want players to tackle around the knees. Where do we want people to tackle? So we are in danger of, I mean, rugby union are going down them lines, aren't they? You know, where you can't tackle and you can't do this. And you know, in sort of 10 years' time, we might not be a contact sport anymore if we keep going down this route. Because, like I said to you off air before, years ago, sort of 80s, late 80s, where I started watching the sport, you never saw red cards. You might see one a season, and you never got suspension. So the game, I mean, let's just chat now about the suspensions and that from Friday. We might as well.
Yeah.
How many of our players got cited? You had Oliver Partington.
Yep.
You had Callum Watkins, Ryan Brierley for contrary behaviour, which I don't know what is that. I'm not too sure what he did there because I've not seen that incident, so I'd like that explained. And there was another one as well, the King Bunny Iowa one, which we agree was probably a red card. But the Partington, Watkins, and Brierley ones, I don't remember seeing dangerous tackles or something where I think, blimey, I'm going to make a note. Because I make notes in the game for my match report, and I never made any notes about tackles that they'd done. So, you know, what are these people at the RFL looking at?
It must have been sort of technical, maybe sort of technical tackle that went wrong. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, they weren't, out of the four of them, the King V one was the bad one for me. The other ones, like I said, I suppose just sort of normal tackles, maybe that are kind of deemed dangerous in some way. And I suppose, you know, you are right. You know, it is a physical contact sport, and it's played by big physical contact people in it, and people unfortunately will get hurt. And I suppose the plan is to make the game as safe as it can, but try and keep that sort of physical part of it, really. But I suppose it's difficult. It's a bit of a balancing act between keeping him safe and wrapping him up in cotton wool and no physical stuff happening.
Well, yeah, because when you watch the NRL or you watch the State of Origin for a kickoff, State of Origin is refereed totally different to our Super League's refereed. You watch State of Origin, it's an all-out war. So why is that referee different then? They seem to let a lot more go in that. And then you've got when we play Australia in like a Test series, it's the same again. So you can't you're going to program our players over here this way. As soon as we play an international game, we're going to get murdered because they're just going to swat us off and smash us all over the place. So I think you've got to have the rules spot on for every sort of country, haven't you? But I watch the NRL on a Sunday morning and whatever sometimes, and their tackling is so much tougher than ours. The players are tougher. I don't know. The defence is harder. The tackles are hard, and then we see them over here, and it's a penalty.
Yeah, I think for what it is, I think for us, it's speed. I think players are too fast and too strong, and when impacts happen, that can hurt because people are going at each other at 30 miles an hour or whatever, and hitting in areas that aren't particularly sort of protected by muscle or fat or whatever. I think the Australian game, I don't watch that much of it really. I watch it when it's on, but I always think they just seem like about twice the speed as us. Everything's done so fast, and for me, it's not as physical. It's not as like messing about around the ruck or in tackles. It's just pick up the ball and go, you know, and try and make something happen. Well, we're a bit more sort of physical in the tackle. We're messing around the play of the ball and, you know, late shots after kicks and things like that, which I don't really see in Australia. And I think that's probably why Australia are better than us, because when it comes to, we talked about, didn't we, about playoffs and levels, they have got 2 or 3 levels that we haven't got, because everything they do is at their basic level is faster than what we do now. So when they have to go up a gear, then that means we have to go up 2 or 3, and our players and in that environment sort of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a year, only in it maybe once or twice when it comes to a grand final or a semi-final.
Yeah, I think I mean, I don't want to go on too much because you could probably do a podcast on its own about the two sort of how they play over there. I mean, I think they're more skillful than we are. They don't make as many mistakes as we do. I mean, the
Yeah,
ball over there is treated like gold, isn't it? Whereas over here, we seem to make more mistakes, you know, knocking on and things like that. And they treasure possession, don't they? They really do. And I think sometimes it's the simple things that you've got to do right, isn't it? I mean, just something simple as kicking for touch and things like that. We don't seem to, you'll kick for touch and you'll kick 10 yards. Why not kick
yeah,
60 yards, hammer it down the field because you're skillful enough to do that. Someone like Mark's needs. So there's little things in the game that we don't sort of practice. I don't think as much as we could. But we're going off on a bit of a tangent, really,
yeah,
aren't we? But yeah, as far as the performance goes, let's just get back to the 3 minutes before half time. I mean, the Steed kick. We did something similar last season, didn't we? I remember when he kicked it
yeah.
and Field went through. I thought, God, this just reminds me of last year when Morgan Escray went for a drop goal. I
Mhm.
think when you've got somebody such an elusive runner like Jai Field, you can't afford to do a Hail Mary kick because the kick needs to go somewhere. Because if he gets it in broken play like that, he's going to make a monkey because he's so quick.
Mm. Yeah, like what you say, every minute matters, every moment matters, and that's
Yeah,
the level in it. That's the levels. If you want to be a playoff team and compete in semi-finals, in grand finals, every tackle, every set matters. There's no switching off at all. And that's the difference. And I suppose it is a learning process. I'm sure Paul Rowley and the boys have had meetings about it, videos about it, and they'll know where they went wrong. So hopefully next time we play Warrington on Sunday, and a certain situation happens again, we treat the ball differently and we do something different, and it might have a different outcome, which would be important. Obviously, the other results didn't go our way. With Warrington and OKR both winning, which basically means this week's game against Warrington is critical for our playoff chances.
yeah, we've got to win, haven't we? And even if we win, we could end up winning our last 3 games and still not make it, couldn't we? So we've got to win on Sunday. There's no doubt about that. The worrying thing for me is I don't know whether we can. I looked at that game on Friday and I thought, this could probably be like, you're looking to get in the playoffs. We didn't look up to playoff speed to me. We was miles away from Wigan. Then I'm thinking, well, if we're going to get in the playoffs, we've got to do better than this because this isn't playoff standard. I didn't think it was anyway. I might be being harsh there, but that was just my opinion. I didn't think we were good enough. There was too many mistakes. There was too many penalties given away. A lot of 6-agains given away. And I'm not blaming the referee. It is what it is. I mean, there's a few people in the crowd who thought a couple of passes were forward to the Wigan tries. I thought they were all right. They look like lion balls. I mean, that Miski, we knew all about him, didn't we? And he got over for a try. So the worrying thing for me is we looked off the pace. And, it's not as if we had a load of players out injured. That was more or less our full strength side, wasn't it? Barring Shane Wright. So yeah, I just hope the season doesn't fizzle out. That's my worry at the moment.
Well, I suppose it's injuries in it, and we've had a sort of a part through the season where we were lacking bodies. We were on a bit of a bit of a run of defeats, didn't we? But like I always say, if you want to be a playoff team, you've got to make the playoffs, and you've got to hit a certain level to get into the playoffs. And that's where we are at the moment. We've got Warrington, we've got OKR, and we've got Catalan. Them three teams have something to play for. None of them are rolling over for us. We've got to take it rather than them hand it to us on Sunday.
Yeah, we've got 3 cup finals now, really, haven't we? You look at Warrington and Ulster, they're our rivals through the playoffs out there in and around. So you take 2 points off them pair, then you're in with a real shout. Catalans, they'll be distraught because they were top of the table, haven't they? They've been top for such a long time, and now they've got knocked off the top. Wigan have gone top on points difference. I think Saints, Catalan, and Wigan have all got the same points now, so that they're going to have to win all their games to get that league leaders shield. So when you look at Catalans as well, they'll be desperate to get top because you finish top, get a home game in the playoffs. They'd much rather play somebody in Perpignan than travel over to England, wouldn't they? So they're going to be coming to Salford on that last game, busting a gut to win. You know what Ulker's like. I mean, we've been lamped there on a few occasions, haven't we? I think the last 2 visits there, we've been absolutely battered. So they're going to be tough to beat. So this Warrington game, there's a bit Jekyll and Hyde Warrington, aren't they? You don't know quite what to expect from them. I don't think there is a tough side. I think they've got that soft underbelly. I think if you can get into them, I think we can get a result from that game. It's going to be a tough one.
It is going to be tough. Talking about tough, let's go through the stats. Top meter makers, Ken Seo 179, Tim Laffey 140, Brody Croft 152, Andy Ackers 108, and King V 104.
Wow, I didn't expect that. I mean, we talk about the meter eaters, don't we? We don't normally get that many over 100, so there's some big meters in that. Was it a big pitch that at Wigan?
Must have been.
got some big meters in there. I mean, Ken Seo, I thought again popped up for a try, and he was his usual self, really. Ken, he was good. Took his try really well. I mean, we didn't. It was a game where we didn't have a lot of chances, really, did we? We didn't really create an awful lot. Like I said before, losing Mark Steed in the first half sort of mucked us around a bit, didn't it? But no, I'm surprised with that stat.
Yeah. Top tacklers, Callum Watkins 30, Brody Croft 23, Andy Ackers 47, King Bunny Ayawa 25, Sam Stone 28, Oliver Partington 39.
Brody Croft too many again. 23 tackles. I mean, a few people have said to me this season, "Oh, he's nowhere near as good as last season. He won the Man of Steel last season." Blah blah blah. He's playing a different role this season to me. He's doing far too much defending. The work he does is absolutely unbelievable. He absolutely works his socks off. He really does. His engine. It's like having a middleweight boxer on the pitch. The fitness levels he's got. He's got big men running at him all the time. And I was watching it on Callum Watkins as well. I thought it was tremendous because if you looked at Callum when he came out on Friday night, he had a massive strapping on his leg. And Wigan played on that. That Liam Byrne ran at him all night. Ran at Watkins all night to wear him out, and he never took a backward step. Did Callum? He tackled well, he ran well, and we'll miss him this week with him being suspended. But Brody Croft, he just needs a bit more protection, doesn't he? He needs that pack to do a bit more tackling for him, and obviously if the pack gets on top, he can do his work on that. But we tend to be doing too much defending, really.
Yeah, I've always said that a big asset of Brody Croft is his defence. I know a lot of people talk about his weaving runs and his attack, but where he defends is on an edge. It's so important that the edge defender can defend, and he is no turnstile. He makes every tackle, so it's important for our sort of whole defensive structure that he can, which he does. And like I say, I suppose 23 is a lot, but if they're thinking we'll just try and knacker him out, make him defend so he can't do anything in attack, that might be the plan. And I suppose, like you say, it's up to people around him to maybe make a few tackles more than him. But I suppose it's their plan. It's about us disrupting their plan, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I think that's what teams have done this season. I think, last season Brody was a bit of an unknown quantity, wasn't he? And, this season I think teams are definitely targeting him. I think they definitely run at him and try and wear him out, try and get him doing tackling. But he's not a player that will shirk it. He's not a player that will go hiding. He loves it. He thrives on it. And like you said, I think he's a terrific defender. I mean, he's tough as well. He's tough as all boots. He puts the hits in and just carries on. Another guy's Chris Atkin. He's the same. I mean, every week he seems to get battered and bruised. I know he had a big strapping around his head, didn't he? And he gets involved as well. So, like I said before, the result was disappointing, but I don't think you can ever lack the effort of the players. I mean, they put it in, and on the day they just weren't good enough. Wigan with the better side.
Yep. Average gains: Ken Co 9, Jack Ormonroy 9, Andy Ackers 8, King V 8, and Chris Atkin 10. Always think about 8 and over. Shows that they're making meters.
Yeah, that's good meters for Atkin. Yeah, I thought he was very, very busy when he came on, and we know he's such a valuable player to the team, isn't he? And when you lose somebody like Mark Sneed, I mean, Chris Atkin would walk into all the Super League teams. There's no doubt about that, and he's probably unlucky he's not got a starting place. Really, I mean, he's good enough. It's just it's tough for him to get in the team in the halfbacks, but he does a very good job wherever he plays. So yeah, he had another big game for us.
Yeah, big thanks for your 3-word match reports, man of the matches. Paul, almost enemy Cross. Joe Langdon, ourselves to blame, Dion Cross. Colin Wilson, indiscipline, our downfall. Cross. KDL, passion of club. That's 4. Brody Croft. Tony Frame, brain fart rugby. Croft. That's probably about right for that last 10 minutes of the first half. David Deakin, 10-minute wobble. Is man of the match was Ken Seo, Matt Young, so close. King Bunny Iowa, Anita lost on Hooter, Briley. Andy Lancashire penalties given away. Croft, Jamie Hopwood, almost enemies. Dave H. discipline every week. Lou Green beat ourselves. Dave Park in intensity not matched. And Easer, E for effort. Croft. So, yeah, effort was there. People talking about the indiscipline is a factor because obviously you keep turning the ball over. You keep giving them ball, don't you? So you have to do more tackles, which takes more juice out of your tank. So it is a factor. But I'd say Paul Rowley and the way he likes to play defensively, it's a thin line between aggression and tough, indiscipline.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the penalty count. It was 6-5 to Wigan, but it was a 6 against, 6-1 to Wigan. That's the killer, the 6 against, because to me a penalty is a penalty, but a 6 again can be a bit of a killer because depending on when you get the set restart, you might have already done 4 or 5 tackles, and then when that hooter goes and it's like it's another 6. I think mentally players think, oh God, I've got to defend again now, and teams catch you there. So I'd love to see the stat of how many tries get conceded on that repeat set, because I bet there's a lot, and we tend to give a lot of those away. And like we've said before, the technicalities really aren't they, holding down, slowing the play of the ball down, things like that. Which I must say, I thought Wigan slowed us down. To be honest with you, I mean, every team does it, but they did it to a team. We could never really get a quick play of the ball in that game, and sometimes that's your own fault as well. I think there was an incident where there was nobody to play the ball, and Wigan got the ball back from that, which I thought was awful. And another thing, what really brassed me off in the second half, Wigan scored a try, and let me have a look who it was. It was Toby King. Toby King went over, scored out wide, and nobody laid a glove on him. They let him walk right round near the post, improved the kicking angle. Some players turned their back on him, and I thought that was pathetic. It really was poor, that, because you're switching off there, aren't you? And if you're going to go in the playoffs, you can't afford to do that. You can't afford to do that. And we've not done that this season. We've been good, but I don't know. We just looked a bit like we were on the beach at times last Friday. And, if we want to get in that playoffs, you can't play like that.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Totally. It's like I said, it's levels, isn't it? You've got to make sure you can go up a level, and struggled. I thought, like I say, last 10 minutes in that first half, we just sort of lost it. I just don't think we were able to deal with the cranking of the pressure. But I suppose it's something to learn. You'll take that into Warrington this week. 2 big games. Warrington, OKR, back to back as well, which is going to be important both physically and mentally for the players. So we'll have to see how it plays out. It's exciting. This is what we want, don't we? We want to be fighting at the right end of the table. And I'm just hoping and praying that we get over that line into a playoff. But like you say many times on this podcast, you don't want to be limping into a playoff situation. You need to be going in there full throttle to cause problems to teams.
Yeah, because there's no point, is there? I mean, I don't know. It sounds daft, but you'd probably rather finish 7th than finish 6th and then go and get lamped with 50 points off somebody, because that you remember that then, don't you, for the rest of the winter then until next year. So I remember that 2006 season we did all right. We went to Bradford in the playoffs and got beat by about 50 points to 4 or something, and that's how you'd remember it then for all the winter, all the autumn and the winter. So yeah, I mean, of course I wanted to finish in the playoffs, and I was a bit down on Monday and Tuesday this week thinking about it, and I thought, do you know what? We could turn Warrington over, because a week's such a long time in rugby league, and this team we've got, they're capable of doing it. They are capable of getting the result. When I saw all those players up for suspension, I thought we're going to struggle a bit here, but luckily now we've only got Watkins out, haven't we? But yeah, Friday night was a night we've had many of at Wigan, really, many performances like that, and we've had 1 or 2 special ones, haven't we? But most of them have been like that one.
Yeah. So we move on, and hopefully we'll get it right against Warrington. Let's move on to the ladies. They were in action away at Barrow. Went down to defeat 28 points to 0. Barrow are a tough team. Ladies battled hard. Obviously, we are now in the playoffs, but the chance of a home playoff has gone.
Yeah, that's right. And, I'm sure the ladies would have loved a home playoff, wouldn't they? Playing at Salford, it's home advantage, especially when you get into the business end of the season. We've just mentioned it there about Catalans, weren't we, in the men's rugby league, who want to be at home. I mean, the ladies is the same. it's such a big fillip playing at home, isn't it? So they're going to have to do it the tough way now, aren't they? If they're going to be away from home, there's some tough teams in that league, and yeah, you just don't hope they're not going the same way as the men's team, just running out of steam at the wrong end of the season, really. So yeah, they've got a big week coming up now.
Yeah, well, we talk about the journey, don't we? And the the journey they've been on, from when they started, and this going into a Super League playoff away from home against one of the top sides in that division, against going to be Featherstone maybe. It could be a moment, another moment to put in the memory bank.
Well, yeah, these are the challenges you look for in rugby league, don't you? I mean, if you said like all the way through your career watching, not career, but your life watching Salford, if you like, and you look at games and think, oh, I'm not going to go to that one, or we're not going to bother with this one because we're not going to win there. I mean, the amount of times where we've gone to places and won games where we never expected to do it, then that's what it's all about, isn't it? It's about that, your heroes, aren't you, for that 80 minutes, and that's what sport's all about. I mean, there's loads of teams over the years that had no right to win certain games, and they went there and they did the business, because you've got to look at it sometimes in sport. There might be people that are more talented than you, but I've always thought of it like this: if you train as hard as your opponent or harder, you remember the shout. If you work your socks off on battle, you might not be the most talented person in the world, but if you work as hard as you can and make sure you're the fittest you can be, then you've got a chance. You've got a chance of doing that then. So the ladies just got to keep working. Whether they're playing Featherstone or whoever they're playing, they might have an off day. You go there, give it your all, and you're in with a shout.
Yeah, I think at the moment it could be either Lee, Barrow, or Featherstone, because they're all sort of within a point of each other. So it's going to be interesting to see sort of what happens there. But what a journey they've been on, and you feel like sometimes it's written in the stars. You go away from home, because he played Lee a couple of weeks ago away, and they gave him a right scare there. So you've got no fear, there. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, they'll get over this defeat. Win next week, and then go flying into a playoffs strong.
Yeah, you never know, Rob. That's what rugby league's all about, isn't it? And their attitudes are right. They've got the commitment as well, haven't they? I know with Louise Fellingham firing up, she'll have them ready, won't she, for whoever they play? So yeah, we've got a chance. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So that's the chat about the matches, and now we'll see what's happening in the world of Salford Red Devils. So we talked about the discipline and the match bans and things like that in the review of the Wigan game. Paul, I suppose we're going into the important part of the season. We've had sort of phases, haven't we, through the season where we've had people who have been missing. So are we better sort of ready for this challenge than it might have been if we hadn't been as indisciplined before?
Say that again, Robbie broke up then.
I'm saying, because we've had indiscipline before and people being suspended or injured, now we're going into the business end of the season because we've experienced that. Do you think we're better suited now to go in and maybe give Warwick a big game?
Well, yeah, you'd always want your full strength side out, don't you? And Callum Watkins is going to be missing, and he's a big miss because he's not only a cracking player, cracking attacking player, cracking defender. He's a cracking person as well to have in the team. He's someone that's very vocal. He's a winner, isn't he, Callum? He's a top player, tower of strength, I call him. And yeah, we'll miss him. There's no doubt about that. But this could be the opportunity for somebody else to come in. We've got players like Andrew Dixon in there, Adam Sidlow, who've been hovering around and been the 18th man for the last few weeks. You've got James Greenwood as well there. So, someone's going to get the chance to play. You might start with Ben Elliwell in the second row. We're not too sure. But, the players have just got to go for it now. It's only a one-game ban for Callum, isn't it? But there's players there who can take the mantle. Sam Stone's been really good in the back row as well this season. So it's up to maybe Sam to step forward and take over that leadership role in the back row.
Yeah. Other big news of the week, Paul, is that 2024 season tickets have been launched. Obviously, we talk about the funds in the club, and it's an important sort of aspect. Season ticket holders obviously putting the money in the club. Obviously, we're looking at investing in the playing staff, bringing better quality players in. The more season tickets we sell, the better.
Yeah, of course. You want to try and sell as many season tickets as you can, don't you? And it's guaranteed bums on seats every week, isn't it? Really, and it's revenue for the club as well. And that revenue you get it early doors as well, don't you? Normally when the season tickets come out. So yeah, hopefully, I don't think we've ever been like massive season ticket sellers, but I tell you one thing I saw yesterday, and I was so impressed. I was working in not far from Rochdale football ground, actually, just coming back down into the centre of Rochdale. And just as I got there to where the college is, it's a massive billboard poster on the right hand side in one of the old spring works, advertising Salford against Warrington.
Mm.
And I sort of stopped at the lights. If you know Rochdale, it was sort of back of Asda, around the back of college there. So you're not far off the old gasworks, and it's not really anywhere near Salford, is it? You're right near Rochdale Arts ground, but I couldn't believe it. I thought that's fantastic advertising. So they must have those billboards in other towns like Bury, Oldham, Bolton, and places like that. So that's I think that's a great presence to have. And when people are talking about, oh, where's this money gone for, people buying shares and that, perhaps that's where it's going into marketing the club and getting the name out there. But the more people you tell, I mean, how many people are going to drive past that and go, I'm not doing that on Sunday. We might go and give that a go. I mean, they might not, but it's better to have it there than not. So if we're going to do that in the close season, advertising tickets as well, I think that's brilliant.
Yeah, ticket prices have gone up, but obviously cost of living, inflation, everything. Yeah, I expected the club probably to increase the prices, and I suppose it's an issue. Obviously, fans, every penny matters, doesn't it? So I suppose you have to find a way, but they do have a sort of a direct debit option, which is great. Obviously, if you can't afford the initial outlay, you can do it in instalments. They've also changed the bands, so there's adult, there's over 65s, under 18s, under 12s now. So that's good. Obviously, more simpler than other years.
Yeah, I think it wasn't the OAPs over 60 last season. I think there
Yeah.
were some people who were like between 60 and 65 are not happy about that. And I can understand why, because it's a bit of a jump, isn't it? But compared to other sport, I think rugby league's a brilliant value, really, isn't it? I mean, you look at how much you play to go and watch a football match, and it's mega money, isn't it? So I'm not so sure what it works out per game, but you'll find the money, won't you? I mean, the club will take money off you from wherever. They're desperate for cash, aren't they? They're always after something from us. So a few more pennies. I mean, they are, aren't they, Rob? There's always some sort of money-making scheme at the club. But they need to do, don't they? Because we're not awash with it. We've not got somebody ploughing money in there. So they're always after something off us. But, I don't think the prices are extortionate. I think we'll all find it, won't we, to renew our tickets.
Yeah, you have a September special where if you buy it in September, it's quite cheap compared to if you leave it longer, which is great. Like I said, direct debit option. So yeah, they are trying. They are doing things, Paul, which is important. And we're just, like I say, hoping that all this marketing and the the club going into the community and engaging with people is going to pay off. I think the important thing really is us fans. I was thinking about this today. If you're going to buy 4 season tickets for you and your family, or you and your mates, make sure that when you go, you give the club email addresses for not just you, I mean everybody. So everyone in your party, so they then can add it to their database, which means it can grow, and then more people can get engaged with the club via email. Because I got an email from the club, was it last week? Pretty good, lots of information on it. So it shows that they have got this email thing going at the moment, and yeah, and that's my advice to anyone listening, because obviously we're all going to go racing off buying season tickets, if not now, sort of towards the end of the year or whatever. Just make sure that you give them your email/data, so then they can put it on the database and possibly give offers to maybe friends of yours that you can pass on.
I'm going to wait to see finishing the playoffs, Rob, before I renew my season ticket.
Is that it?
Only joking. Only joking. No, I tell you what about the just to big the club up a bit as well, like we should do. The email that you get now, the Red Devils Roundup, is it called? The email that comes down, I think it's fantastic. Like you said, there's so much information in it. It has everything. everything in order that you need to know. It mentions supporters trust. There's all sorts of stuff in it, and I get that. I think it's Mondays. I think that one comes down to me. I get it, and it's really good. It's really good and really informative. And I know supporters trust are the same. Their emails are really good. You get stuff from them all the time if you remember. And yeah, just get involved with that if you can and support the club. But I think the club are doing the things the right way, regarding information to people. I mean, I think they've been really good this season, really professional. And I've noticed little things like that have really improved, haven't they? Whereas we used to get the odd email or the odd message about this, that, and the other. They do communicate a lot better with us now, which is good.
Yeah. Club are also advertising jobs. If you want to be a kit man, a development officer, a session coach, or a volunteer, contact the club and they will point you in the right direction. Obviously, being a community club, opportunity for people to be employed.
Yeah, it is. I wish I could do something like that, Rob. I wish I could be involved in rugby league, but sadly, big mortgage and what have you, I've got to stick at my job really. But if someone could match my wage, I'd happily do something. But it's the kit man. That'd be a good job. Wouldn't it, doing that? I mean, I bet that's great. You get to spend all your time with a club, and you're working there full time, aren't you, on match days and things like that in the change room. I bet it's a really interesting job.
I was thinking Parky could do that. His mum used to clean the kits, didn't it? So it's in his blood. He'll be able to do that, wouldn't he? Put the kits out.
Yeah, too right. I mean, I bet there's more to that than just washing the kit and that. I bet things got to be ready, and you've got to transport it to the grounds and that, and you've got to do the reserves as well and the ladies. I bet there's a lot of work goes into that really. So I know it said they wanted somebody to start right away, didn't they, as well? So they must be desperate to do it. I don't know who did that before. I mean, we've advertised for that job before, haven't we? So whether somebody's left straight away or not done it for long, I'm not sure.
But yeah, if you want to, see about that, contact the club, see what opportunities lay ahead for you. Wheelchair rugby training on Sunday, Eccles College, 10:30 for an hour. They had a friendly against Rochdale a couple of weeks ago. Did very well by all accounts. Very entertaining game. Obviously, great if people get down there and give it a go.
Yeah, well, I know Rochdale have had a wheelchair rugby league team for a number of years now. They're one of the pioneers in it over here. So yeah, I know a lot of people are getting excited about that now, aren't they? And it's a really exciting sport. I think me and Parky and you were talking about last week, weren't we? I know Parky's a big advocate of wheelchair rugby league. He absolutely loves it, doesn't he? So yeah, it's exciting times that people to get involved with that. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that pans out.
Yeah. Other news, King V signs new 2-year deal. I think, obviously, he has been a bit, obviously, disciplined against Wigan, but he has, played quite well, quite physical, and that's what you want in a forward. It's the nature of the beast. If you're a front row, you have to mix it. I think he brings that to our team. So, yeah, happy he got a 2-year contract there. I'm sure Paul Rowley will be wanting to develop him into an even better prop forward.
Well, yeah, I think he can improve. I think he can be better because physically, he's a really big lad. He's really strong. He's really aggressive. Perhaps sometimes he's a bit clumsy, like that tackle or that lazy arm that he did. So you just got to clean that side of your game up. I mean, we want props to be hard, but hard and fair. You don't want to be giving cheap shots away and daft penalties. So he does have a tendency to give penalties away sometimes, but. I think he's learning this sport, isn't he, as well? He's not an old man, as he's not been in the game that long. So, I think he's improving. And like we said before about props, they don't always mature until sort of late 20s, early 30s, and you can make a really big career out of it. So, I think the moral of the story is that we're signing players up on decent contracts. We're keeping players. It's adding continuity as well. We're not having a big vast turnover of players every season, which is good. So no, I'm glad King's staying because he's been a decent player for us.
Yeah, and I think the arrival of Brad Singleton has really sort of upped his and Jack Ormonroyd's game. I think obviously them three of our, prop forwards, to be the top dog. I think you can see it in all three of them wanting to be the man now. So that's going to be interesting next 2 years to see how that plays out.
Yeah, we've said before, haven't we, about Brad Singleton? I think he's been a really good signing for us. I know it would be good to get some more blood in that pack for next season. You know, you can never have enough forwards. There's probably one or two places where we need to strengthen. I think we could do another prop and another back row, but we'll have to see who's available and who we can get older. But Singleton has been a really good addition to that. Jack Ormeray's a big lad as well. I know Jack's. I think he signed a new contract, hasn't he, recently? So he'll be staying with us as well, won't he? So yeah, we've got some good players there in that pack of forwards. Next season as well, you know, we're going to have Shane Wright back, who's a massive plus for us and was having a great season until he got injured. I mean, that to me probably dented our season, losing Shane Wright. I mean, you might say, oh, he's only one player, but he's a massive part of that pack and a massive part of that team for his tackling and his attacking prowess as well. So we've had to do without him, haven't we, nearly all year? So yeah, but getting King signed up is good because we've got the makers of a good side there with Singleton as well.
Yeah. Other news, Selco Builders are running a competition for amateur clubs in the area to get £2,000 to improve your clubhouse / facilities. All you've got to do is you write a essay, 100 words on why that money would benefit your club. Obviously, we've got some great amateur clubs in our area. Would really want to benefit from that. So hopefully somebody in each club is there beavering away on a script on what the money will be used for.
Yeah, it's a nice touch from Selco Builders Warehouse, isn't it? You know, it's a nice thing for them to do, to get involved with the local club. So, you know, hats off to them. You know, it's next time I need something, I'll get to Selco now. And I normally use Screwfix and places like that, but Selco now, I think that's a really good thing to do. Get involved with the amateur clubs.
Yeah, maybe that was the plan after all along. We advertise and people think, I don't know, I'll get me screws from Selco rather than B&Q or any other, hardware place.
Why not? Good work.
Also, Canada Rhinos are running a touch rugby sessions on a Monday, Lord Street at 7 p.m. Got to be super fit to play touch rugby though. And yeah, I know we all back. You'd be struggling.
Hey, I'm not too bad, I'm still boxing, so I'm not doing too bad. Yeah, I'm all right. My back's been good for the last few years since I had that injection, but like you said, I've never been a great rugby player. I wasn't very good at rugby at school or anything, so no, I've never been football, rugby. No, they're not really my things, to be honest with you. But imagine playing touch rugby in this heat as well.
Yeah,
it's absolutely boiling, wouldn't it? I'd probably better do that walking rugby with John Blackburn, but not touch rugby.
Yeah, I was 2 yards slower in physically than I was in my head. I'd see the gap. I think I'm going for that gap and it just close in front of me. Yeah. So yeah, touch rugby it's even worse because everything's done so quick in it. Walking rugby might be more possibly. So I have to run then, do you?
No,
lots of different options. It shows, like you say, how good the Sovereign Devils Foundation is, because obviously got all these different options for different types of people.
Yeah, I think the foundation, we don't sort of go on about them as much as we should do, really, do I know the club, they do so much work for the club, don't they, and involved in the community as well. And like you said, there's something for everybody with the foundation, and it's done on such a small budget as well, isn't it, really? So yeah, there's all sorts of things to get involved with, and if you can, and you love rugby league, why not get involved?
Yeah. East Stand is open for the Warrington game. If you want to move your ticket from the South Stand into the East Stand, contact the club by Friday. Be good to get a decent amount of people in that stand, because obviously the atmosphere was fantastic against Huddersfield in the cup. It's on TV, so you might be on the tally as well. I think the South Stand's still open, which gives you another option. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see how many people swap over to the East Stand.
Yeah, well, would it be open for away supporters as well? Could let some of them go in there. You could let them have half, and let the Salford supporters have half. But I suppose Salford supporters might say, well, they'll influence the touch judge and things like that, so we'll keep our supporters down the side, keep them behind the sticks, which is fair enough. But you can see Warrington bring in a good crowd on Sunday. I mean, it's always a cracking atmosphere when we play Warrington, especially away from home. I always really enjoy going there to the Helliwell Jones Stadium, and yeah, they're usually good matches, aren't they, when we play Warrington? And I think there'll be fireworks in this one as well. So I'm glad that stands open. I think the weather's going to be good. It's early kickoff as well, and it's 12:45 on the telly, so should be a good day. I mean, the home games over the last few months have been real carnival atmospheres, haven't they? And everyone's really enjoyed it, and the crowds have been good as well.
Yeah. Question is, where will the sun be? Because I think when we played Huddersfield, the sun was like shining in your eyes. Look, it dipped behind the stand towards the end of the sort of that second half.
It'll shine right in the
So
east.
I wonder where the sun will be at midday.
It'll shine right in the
behind
east.
you.
Yeah, no, it'll go in there. The west stand, you're all right, aren't you? Because the
Mm.
sun's behind you. But if you're in that east stand and in the north stand where the away fans go, they'll get it there. The south stand's always in the shade, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you'll get the sun will be behind you, won't it? So it'll come round that way. Sound like bloody one of those space people. I was going about the sun. But no, I've noticed that when that stand's empty, the sun always seems to shine on that, doesn't it? So, so if you go in there, take your shades with you and an hat or something.
Yeah, and your suntan lotion.
Yeah, don't forget that. Your factor 50.
Yeah. Final bit of news, sad news reached us that Salford legend David Watkins passed away last week. 400 appearances for Salford, 3,000 points, a club legend. Our thoughts are with his friends and family at this time. Paul, it's a sad news.
It is. We've lost three players from that great side, haven't we? In a short space of time, Eric Prescott, Mike Koeman, and David Watkins, and yeah, very sad. David Watkins, what can you say about him? I mean, I'll give Roy a mention. Roy Ellaby. Roy's really put some lovely stuff on Twitter. I think he's been talking to David Watkins' son actually recently on there, and I think his son Nick has been really thankful for all the great messages he's had. But Roy said something, and it made me think. He said that David Watkins was like the George Best of rugby league for kids like Roy when he was growing up, and I thought it was really nice that that sort of adulation that all the kids at school wanted to be David Watkins. They wanted to be like him. And I remember my dad telling me a story. He was on a coach once going somewhere in Yorkshire, and David Watkins flew past in a sports car, like an open top sports car, and he was just cool. But great player as well, and great in both codes. Fantastic rugby union player, fantastic rugby league player, and yeah, he'll be sadly missed.
Yeah. Obviously, people of a certain age all get a bit starry-eyed, don't they, when they talk about David Watkins? But a legend of the game, both in sort of rugby league and rugby union. We signed him for £16,000 in 1967. Obviously, Brian Snape throwing his money about there, but what he did for Salford, what he did for rugby league, and like you say, the memories that he made, shows how much of a nice guy was.
Yeah, well, I can remember people telling me about his debut. I think they played Oldham in '67, and there was a huge crowd there that came to his debut. And he had a terrific game there. I think I've got a photograph somewhere, or in one of his scrapbooks or whatever, where a policeman sort of escorted him off at the end. And he was a real star, wasn't he? And we signed a lot of stars around that time, but I think David Watkins was one of the biggest ones, wasn't he? And a real famous name as well. Like I said, from what Roy was saying, everybody wanted to be David Watkins. He was just a terrific player. And, from what my dad's told me, he didn't really make it at standoff. It was when he went to play in the centre that he really made his name for Salford. Probably didn't adapt at standoff at rugby league, more a centre. But what a goal kicker as well. He must have been an absolute radar with a boot, with that record that he got to 221 and 73-4, I think it was. Forgive me if I've got the years wrong, but he was a tremendous player, tremendous point scorer, and real sad time for Salford, losing three players, as I said, in quick succession.
Yeah. So that's all the news, and now we'll see what's happening in Whiteside's World of Rugby League. So that was Whiteside's World of Rugby League, and now we'll look forward to the weekend's games. So we'll start off with the ladies. Paul, they're in action against Featherstone this week. Like I say, it's really tough at the top. Barrow play Lee, and Barrow must better the Featherstone result to finish top. So Featherstone's going to come to Salford, all gun blazing, hoping to secure top spot.
Did you not have Featherstone that game?
Yeah.
So it's a tough game, isn't it, for Salford going there? Yeah, it's going to be a hard one, that. But these are we were mentioning before, we could get either Barrow or Featherstone in the playoffs as well. So this could be a dress rehearsal for that. So what a time for the ladies to put that marker down now. So yeah, it's going to be a big test, and it's going to be a hot day as well, isn't it? As well, conditions are going to be tough going up there, and it's a hard place to go. So that's going to be a real difficult contest.
Yeah, obviously Paul Rowley's men play Warrington on Sunday on Channel 4. I spoke to assistant coach Christian Inu in the press conference, the official press conference today, and this is what he had to say. So that was Christian Inu talking to me in the press conference, Paul, and he was talking about how he was focused on Warrington and not thinking about the Wigan defeat.
Yeah, well, you've got to focus on Warrington now. The Wigan game's gone, hasn't it? Now that there's no point in worrying about that. You've got to move on, and we can't dwell in the past because this game is a must-win game now. We lose this, and I think we're probably out of it then, aren't we? We ain't going to be able to make it because our points difference is as good as Hull and Warrington. So to have any chance, we've got to win this match on Sunday. So Warrington have been up and down. I think they won the first 9 games or 8 or 9 games, top of the table, and then they lost a crazy amount of games, didn't they, on the spin? Lost the coach as well, and they've got Gary Chambers in charge now until Sam Burgess comes next year. So they're all changing round again. They made loads of signings, didn't they, at the start of the season? On paper, Rob, they've probably got one of the best sides in the league, but for some reason, they just can't get it right. I mean, listen to the game on the radio a few weeks ago when they played away at Wakefield. They had a full strength side out at Wakefield and got beat 42-6 at Wakefield, and it's like, what's going on? So I'm hoping that Warrington turns up at Salford on the weekend, because last weekend I caught a bit of the game when they played Cass, and Castleford were awful. I think they had a man sent off as well, but Warrington scored 66 points and looked good. Paul Vaughan was good. He was a real leader in the pack, and they've got Josh Drinkwater and George Williams at halfback, 2 of the best halfbacks in the league. So they've got dangerous players, haven't they?
They have, but if you want to be a playoff team, you need to beat an out of form Warrington, even though they beat Cass last week. I think they've won 2 out of the last 5. So if you want to be a playoff team, you beat Warrington home.
Yeah, I think the form's worse than that. I think, Rob, if we go back, probably won about 3-11 or something daft like that. So their form is awful, really. So yeah, you do, and the pressure's on them as well. They spent a lot of money, didn't they, bringing like Cassiano in and people like that. So that Vaughan and the Josh Maguire who left, he didn't stay, did he? But they spent a lot of money, didn't they? So they're a bit expected to do well and get in that top 6. But no, we've got to win. We don't want to finish this season on bad form, because there's no doubt about it. We've not been as good this season as we were last season. It's been a disappointing sort of patch, hasn't it, in mid-season. We've had a few wins here and there, but on the whole, we've not been as good this year, have we? So we want to make sure we get in that top 6, and if we get in that top 6, we can cause trouble. We can beat teams. We proved that at Huddersfield a few weeks ago. We went there and did a really good job on them. So, and we had a good win then against Wakefield, didn't we? So we've just got to turn that form around. So it's a massive game for us.
Yeah. Prediction time. What's your thoughts?
I think there'll be a lot of points in this, Rob. It's going to be a warm day. Warrington like to throw the ball about. I don't know, our defence was good, wasn't it, before we went to Wigan? So I can see it being a nice scoring one. I'm going to go 28-24 to Salford.
28-24. I'm going to go Salford going to come out the blocks because the pressure's on. We're going to come out the blocks, score early. Warrington are going to panic. We're going to score just before half time, and then they're going to collapse in the second half, where it's going to be a riot second half. I think Salford 40, Warrington 8, and Lafayette hat-trick.
You never humble you with these predictions, are you? Straight in there, don't you, for the knockout? Yeah, well, you don't know. We've got the players, Rob, haven't we? We're capable of scoring points and doing a number on a team. There's no doubt about that. We've got the players in that side to cause anybody trouble. I think we just need to. I think for us it's a start. You need to get a good positive start. For us, if we go behind in a match, I think, I'm not saying our heads drop, but we seem to find it difficult to get going. And we found it like that at home this season. We've started slowly. People said to me at half time, I've gone for a drink. Oh, it's flat. It's flat. Loads of people have said that. I've heard that word so many times this season. We can't afford to start like this. You've got to start all guns blazing, like you said. Come out of the blocks early. If it means roughing them up a bit, get an early score, and then their heads might drop because the pressure's on them. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. So that's the end of this week's podcast. Another great show. Just want to take a moment to say thank you to all the people who are donated via the Ko-fi. Helps us produce this podcast. And obviously with Player of the Year stuff occurring in the next couple of months, any sort of donation via the Ko-fi will help us purchase trophies for players who potentially might win stuff, Paul. So I say it's great that our listeners get involved in that and also fund us to get the trophies.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a big thank you that to the listeners. And are we going to do a poll soon for Players of the Year and that?
Next week, I'm going to do it.
Okay. Are you roping me and Parky on that one? Is that our homework?
Yes.
Yeah,
Who are your top 5? Your thoughts, and we'll have a bit of a kickabout with the names, and then we'll pick the 5 out of the 15.
Okay.
Put them to a poll.
Sounds good.
And then the week after, give them.
Yeah, sounds like a plan, that, buddy.
Yeah. So, like I say, more Ko-fi donations, bigger the trophy. Might end up with like a European Cup or something. Something like that. You never know. So,
imagine
big
the
thanks for
players
joining us
carrying
on
that around
this
with them.
Devil in the Detail. I'm Barrow Parks. You can find us on Facebook, Devil in the Detail SRD. Find us on Twitter at DITDSRD. And you can find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Radio Contact, Spotify, and YouTube. Good luck, Reds. See you soon.